Hi everybody, I'm Mike Yanessa. Welcome to another episode of Car Stories here on PCTV. I'm in my showroom again at 525 East High Street, Wheels in Motion, and I got some new cars in to show you. Check out this 37 Chevy Coupe. This is a local car. It was built quite a few years ago. It belonged to Wes Castle and Walt Castle. And the new owner, Alan Berman, he's owned it for a few years, and it's time to go. So 1937 Chevy, beautiful bodywork and paint, rack and pinion steering, Mustang 2 front end, air conditioning, stereo. It's just a real nice car to go have fun with. You don't have to do anything but, keep it clean and service it. $35,000 is the asking price, but we're open to offers. So if you know anybody looking for a beautiful 37 Chevy Coupe, make sure you send them by. Okay, so next up in the showroom here at Wheels in Motion is this beautiful 68 Z28 Camaro. Numbers matching, 82,000 original miles, fully documented, original sheet metal, Texas car. The underside is beautiful, no rust ever. This is, if you watched some shows a few years ago, this is my personal car. I had it on the show. It has a great story that goes with it. It was nicknamed the Drunk Skunk. A lot of people know it by that nickname. I've had the car for about 4 years now, and I decided to put it up for sale. When we talk about blue chip stock and some of the other shows, and we talk about investment cars, this is the one you want to invest in. In history, they've never went down. They keep going up. It's harder and harder to find one like this. Yes, it's been repainted, but that's about it. It's got the original glass in it, tinted glass. It's got the original interior in it. It's got the documentation to prove all this. It's got 5 original wheels. So it's a very good car. The next level, if you wanted to take it on a national award, like my friend's Camaro or some of the other cars you saw, it doesn't have the original shocks. It doesn't have the original exhaust, things like that. But the numbers matching, sheet metal, original sheet metal, rust-free, just makes this an exceptional Z28. We're asking $65,000 for the car. If you know anybody interested, send them down. It's a great driver. I owned it for, like I said, many years, so it's tuned, has a nice stereo in it, and just a gorgeous 68 Z28. We do have a 67 Z28 too, which we're going to talk about in a minute. So beautiful 68 Z28, white one. Here is the 67. This is what we call the concourse car. This car scored 5,000 points in the Camaro Nationals, the only car to do that. It's very correct, very nicely restored, and very rare. So the price on this one is much more than a 68. They only made 602 67s, and there's about 240, I think, documented. So I had this on last month's show, but reason I'm doing it again this month is Bill and I registered this in the Mecum auction in Harrisburg. It's August 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and I believe it's the 5th, which is a Sunday. This car goes off at prime time, Saturday afternoon. It should make TV coverage on CNBC. But if anybody in the area wants to go to a local Mecum auction, I mean, we always watch them on TV in Florida. We always watch them in Indy, Las Vegas, all over the world. It's right here at the Farm Complex in Harrisburg, the week of August 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Sunday, I believe, is memorabilia, like gas pumps and gas, signs and stuff. I think the cars are Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So again, Mecum auction, Harrisburg Farm Complex. Bill and I will be there with this 67Z. It's going off. If the price is right, it's going to a new home. So anybody that knows me and knows Bill, we've been Camaro people all our lives. I've had so many of the first generation cars as a kid and even now later. And Bill has this 67, he has a 69, and he just bought this car. Here's some pictures of it. It's kind of a neat car, came from out west, and it has a great car story. What a lot of people do now today, this is one example, is they'll take the new LS motors, like out of a 99 or a 2000 Corvette. This one is an LS1 with a 6-speed with air conditioning, rack and pinion, power steering. So it's an old car with a new drivetrain, gets great gas mileage, rides nice, runs smooth. It's not a muscle car from 1967 or 8. It's a modern drivetrain. It's called Pro Touring. And this is a neat Pro Touring car that Bill bought last winter. The neat thing about it is it's car number 246, okay? So it was built the first week of production in 1966, August of 1966. Bill and I have never seen a car this early. I had a September of 66, but this is in August. It was originally a 6-cylinder car, and it only had 3 owners. But Bill bought it through eBay in March of 2017 from South Dakota. The car lived its whole life in Wyoming. While upgrading the heating and vintage air system, Bill removed the original heater box and found a ladies' class ring in it from 1969. Bill contacted the owner he bought it from, but it wasn't from his family. So he gave some information of who he bought the car from, and a family owned a tourist attraction in Newcastle, Wyoming. It was a hand-dug oil well. So through some research and some digging, Bill found this family that had this tourist attraction, and he called them, left a message. They called back. Debbie, the person on the phone, said the car was previously owned by her father-in-law and then gave it to her daughter, which would have been his granddaughter, Anna. And he described the ring to her, and the ring had a U in the center, dated 1969, and the initials PB. She talked to a friend about the ring and determined it was from Upton High School, a community nearby. The friend got an old yearbook out and determined it possibly belonged to Patricia Bach. So they called Patricia, and Patricia shared the story that in 1969 she was in the car with the gentleman that owned it, and through not a fight, but through a problem, the ring came off her finger and flew down the defroster duct. And it's been in there since 1969. Can you imagine? I mean, what a cool car story. And Bill took the time to call these people and found the original owner of her class ring. So at present, the ring is on its way back to the owner who lost it many years ago. I mean, what a cool car story. So that's a picture of the car right there on the screen. You'll see it at some of the local shows. It's done up like a road race car with the 69 on the door, and it's original gold paint that they cleared over, and then they blacked the sides out. But talk about a car story on that class ring from Bill's Camaro. Eastwood, do the job right. They're right here in Pottstown on Shoemaker Road behind Walmart. If you need anything, tool-wise, powder coating, paint, metal tools, shaping machine, English wheels, and so forth, Eastwood is the place to go. They do a big mail order business, but we're fortunate enough to have them right here in Pottstown. They help sponsor car stories. We use a lot of their tools out in the shop. So if you need anything, or if you just want to go up and nose around, stop at Eastwood. They have a car show coming up this summer. I don't have the date in front of me, but stay tuned and check out their car show at Eastwood up on Shoemaker Road. So right here is the doors that lead to the back of the shop, and I post a lot of cars for sale. I post upcoming events, so if you ever want to see what's going on, stop by. We have a lot of the latest flyers for cruise-ins, for AUKFest at Macungie, which is August 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And this is one that came in this week. This Teal 57 is a customer of ours a few years back. I did a bunch of work to this car. Jay Trigo, he's a local guy, like Phoenixville area. Nice 57 Chevy, 2-door sedan. He wants $35,000 on it for it. If you're interested, somebody's looking for a 57 Chevy, stop in. There's his phone number. You can give him a call. And like I said, there's flyers on here of other upcoming shows and events. So the red Corvette, 93, beautiful condition, leather interior, 9,100 miles. 9,100. Red. It's been here for about a month. The customer reduced the price down a little bit. In the marketplace, it's a really good deal for the mileage. There's a lot of these types of Corvettes for sale, but most of them have 50, 60,000 on them. It'd be hard-pressed to find one with 9,100 miles on it. So if you know anybody, send them down to Wheels of Motion for this beautiful 93 Corvette. We have a lot of Camaros in tonight's show, you know that? And here's another one, in Old Cars Weekly. This one has been in St. Clair, PA for 40 years. The original owner parked it behind his house in 1975 because of the price of gas. Somewhere in those years, there was a mudslide, buried the car in mud, and he left it sit there. It's unbelievable that, I mean, come on, the car was only 6 years old, 7 years old at this time, and he just let it sit in the backyard for 40 years. He advertised the car on Craigslist, and these two Camaro guys went up and looked at it and found it. And the reason it survived, one of the reasons is it wasn't visible from the road, and nobody but the neighbor could see it. And the neighbor even said, I can't believe that the guy left it sit there for 40 years and just deteriorate. I mean, it's the original motor, it's the original carburetor, original wheels, original rally wheels. I mean, just a nice original car let there sit to rot. And it's a shame, but hopefully the guy that bought it off of Craigslist, read that, he's going to fix it up and get it back to its former glory. This is a 68 Z28, one of 7,199 built. Hagerty magazine. If you insure your cars through Hagerty, you get this magazine in the mail. And it's really cool. A lot of times they'll have stories about the auctions and the auction results. Well, this one here is interesting because they're telling you some of the cars now that are going to be worth money someday. And here's a picture of them, and I'll read off the list. The 2000 to 2006 BMW M3. 79 to 86 CJ7, 89 to 2001 Mercedes-Benz SL, 90 to 2001 Lamborghini Diablo, 94 to 98 Toyota Supra Turbo, 2010 to 2014 Ford Raptor, which is pretty amazing, 2001 to 2005 Porsche 911 Turbo, 93 to 2002, Pontiac Firebird Firehawk, and 69 to 72 Chevy Blazers. So that's the current hot list for some newer cars, except for the Blazer. They're pretty much, you know, newer cars that maybe 5-10 years ago weren't worth a whole lot, but now there's definitely an uprise in price. I've seen it personally on the Firebird Firehawk. And the old Blazers are through the roof. I mean, $35,000, $40,000 for an old Blazer in nice condition. So this changes, the market changes, the trends change, but right now, those are the cars to watch. So if you ever did like any of those cars, and you pick one up, odds are, according to Hagerty, they're going to be a future collectible and they're going to appreciate in value, which is hard to do on nowadays on new cars. I do have a story in the back we're going to go to, and we're going to talk about some of the new cars today that could be worth money or are worth money. So we talked about Clem's car, the 69er, that has the LS and the 6-speed and the modern conveniences in an old body. Well, this is a 2010 Camaro. It's actually 8 years old. And this has the LS3 motor with the 6-speed and, you know, similar to the drivetrain that's in Bill's 67 Camaro. So we talked about future collectibles. In this day and age, if I was to say anything about cars that are worth a lot more than they paid, the Ford GT has to be the number one. If you're not familiar with the Ford GT, they're making a new one now that's actually a V6, and they're $400,000-$500,000. I'm not sure, but they're expensive. But back in the mid-2006, somewhere in that range, they made the Ford GT V8, and they were selling for about anywhere from $160, and people were getting $250 for them over sticker. In other words, if it's stickered for $190, the dealers were charging a premium just to get one. So those cars now at auction are $300,000 to $500,000, depending on color and condition. That's the only new car that I know of that has made money, that has really, you know, doubled, you know, a lot of money. Most of your Corvettes and your Cadillacs and your Camaros, when you buy them new, they depreciate. In the last, we'll say 20 years, nothing other than the Ford GT has really appreciated in value. So just something there that I observed that I'd like to share with everyone. But there are certain cars, newer cars, that you can buy that hold their own, that maybe the first owner took the hit and now they're holding their own. Cadillac CTS Coupe, Cadillac ATS Coupe. They're two good ones because there wasn't many of them. Not too many people bought a two-door, so they hold their value. The V8 Cadillac Coupes, they also hold their value because there wasn't too many that spent, you know, 60, 70,000 on that car. This Camaro is another example. This is a 2010. It's a rare color. It has orange leather interior. It has every option. It's a 6-speed stick, and it has low mileage. This car, retail today, would be about $26,000 to $28,000. It sold for $39,000 8 years ago. It's hard-pressed to find a new car that would only depreciate that amount of money in 8 years. Most 8-year-old cars are worth about 25% what you paid for them. Not too many hold their value. Now, if you take the stick shift away and make it an automatic, it's $5,000 cheaper. If you take it's a 2SS that has all the options, and it's a rally sport. If you take the 2SS away, you lose $5,000. So the similar car, automatic, with not as many options, you're at $18,000, which still isn't bad, but this particular car just happened to hold its value. It's one of the little niches. It's like the 2002 Firebird Firehawk that we talked about. They don't mention anything about the 2002 Camaro. It's just that Firebird. For some reason, they are getting $35,000 for that car. That's the average price right now for the Firehawk. Again, stick shift, high horsepower, limited production car. So that's just a little lesson on the new cars. Now, here's a good one for you. We talked about Hagerty Insurance. Hagerty Insurance insures these cars. If this was a 2018, they wouldn't take it. But because it's 8 years old, you can get this insured under your Hagerty policy for a stated value for about 75% less than regular insurance. And you don't have to worry about gap insurance. You don't have to worry about owing more than it's worth because it's a stated value. This particular car, because it's 8 years old, or if it's a Mustang, if it was a new Challenger, if it was a Corvette, you can get insured through Hagerty. So any viewers that have these cars that are 4, 5, 7 years old, and you're paying $1,000 a year through Nationwide or your regular insurance, check out Hagerty. They don't just do the old cars. They do what they call drivable classics. And they have a seasonable policy. Means that you can drive the car all summer, every day to work, rain, whatever, and you can use it occasionally in the winter. So let's face it, most people that have this type of car wouldn't drive it in the winter. They're going to drive their truck or their other car. So check into that. Hagerty, like I said, that's who I use. They do have insurance on newer cars. It could save you some money and actually provide you with better coverage because it's a stated value. So how about this one? 1937 Cadillac Limo. This is a good car story. Before Facebook, before the internet, before Yelp, you got most of your work in this business from a good word of mouth, a good reputation. I've been doing this for 38 years, and I'm really proud of my reputation. I did a Model A for a guy. He owned it for 70 years, and I fixed him up. He was so happy. He got his car back, he drove it, and he referred me to his friend down the street that had 2 cars. If you watched last month's show, we had a 31 Chrysler touring car. That was his car. We finished that, we delivered it back, and now this 37 Cadillac. I actually live a few blocks from my house in Ole. 37 Cadillac. The story of this car was, it was driven around Pottstown, chauffeur driven, okay? And then when the lady got older, or she got a new car, she sold it to her mechanic. That's the story I got before I looked at the car. So it does have a curtain in the back. It is a chauffeur-driven 37 Cadillac. Whose was it? I don't know. So I go to pick it up, and we'll show you here in a few minutes. In the door jamb is oil stickers from Charlie Reiner. Charlie Reiner's garage for years, the Corvair guy, most people know him by, was on Farmington Avenue. Randy Ellis is at his building today. But for years, Charlie had this Cadillac. He talked about it. This was his pride and joy. When he passed, they actually tried to sell it at the auction. It didn't sell. These people bought it down the road, and this was Charlie Reinert's V8 37 Cadillac. He was the mechanic that the customer referred to. The mystery is we don't know who was the lady that was chauffeur driven in it in Pottstown. I originally thought Mrs. Porter. If anybody knows history, Mrs. Porter. But most of the stuff, she drove herself or her dad drove. Then we had a theory from a customer that might be Gruber, Mrs. Gruber. Gruber owned where now is the golf course on 724. He owned a t-shirt factory and very wealthy back in the 30s and 40s. But we don't know. So anybody out there that can shed a light on this 37 Cadillac that belonged to Charlie Reinert, I'm going to say he had it for about 40 years. So the people that owned it back in the 30s and 40s, if anybody knows possibly who this could be, give me a call, email me, wheelsinmotion@aol.com or 610-327-1945, or stop by the shop and take a look at it. It'll be here for a few weeks until we get it serviced. But just a nice 37 Cadillac, all original, by the way. Original paint, original interior. So this yellow Camaro here, you've seen on the show. We had it in bare metal. I showed you a little bit how to do body work. This car got new quarters, new doors, new fenders. It's just about done. It's painted. It takes a lot of time to build these cars. Most people understand. This customer totally understands it takes time to do good work. But he'll have this one shortly, I'd say in the next month, so I'll have plenty of time to cruise it all summer. Paint work's all done. All the mechanics are done. We just got to put the chrome on it and road test a little bit and give it back to him. But 67 Camaro convertible, butternut yellow, V8 automatic, black interior, black top with power steering and air conditioning. Kind of unusual to have a convertible with air in 1967. So just about done, ready to cruise. So we talked about a lot of things tonight. We talked about a bunch of Camaros. Talked about some newer cars that you might want to buy if you're thinking about it that seem to be holding their value, and the ones that Hagerty predicted. I'd like to talk a little bit about the service business. PA inspection. Very basic, very simple, but I realize that some people might not know all the rules. The number on your car is the month that it runs out. You can get them done 3 months before that. It's 1 year. So let's just say you get it done in 3 months before, you'll actually get 15 months. You lose nothing. I get a lot of people coming in that want their car inspected on a Friday afternoon, and we can't accommodate them. And it ran out, or they didn't realize it ran out, or it runs out today. And it's all I'm trying to do through my TV show is explain to people that you have 3 months, especially an older car that needs work. Get it in. If it needs a lot of work, it gives you 3 months to save up or buy tires or buy brakes or get it to comply. I don't realize sometimes that the younger generation doesn't realize that, so we do post a sign out front. I'm trying to inform people of that usually people in the old days would make an inspection appointment weeks in advance, where today it seems like, it's now. And sometimes we can do it, but sometimes we just can't. So check your inspection, check your oil change, make an appointment, and we'll be glad to service your car. Just something I wanted to share that a lot of people don't realize. Remember, 3 months early, you can do it. You still get your full year. In fact, you get 15 months if you get it in the first month. Okay, so that's a little bit on state inspection. Car stories on PCTV. I've been doing it for many years. It's a good advertising tool for the business. Plus, I enjoy doing it. I enjoy sharing the shop and the different things that you should know about your car with people. If you need a place to highlight your business, call Gus at PCTV and check it out. It's a good way to inform people about your business. You'll get new customers from it, and you can share your knowledge of your particular trade. If you haven't seen Car Stories and you want to view past episodes, go to the PCTV network and click on Car Stories. You can watch all the old shows. You can watch that yellow Camaro back when it was in bare metal and see it now that it's painted yellow. So go to the PCTV network and watch Car Stories. If you know anyone that has a car story that wants to come on the show and share it, please contact me or Gus so we can get you on the show. And look at the Cadillac story tonight. Look at the Class Ring story tonight. That's what makes the show cool. So if you have anybody that wants to tell about their old days cruising High Street, or wants to tell about drag racing, or has a particular story, make sure they come on Car Stories and get in touch with me. So that's about it for tonight here at 525 East High Street, Wheels in Motion. I'm Mike Yanessa. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next month.